Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. Today is Movie Monday. Today I wanted to talk about actually one of my favorite movies. I wanted to talk about the movie Schindler's List. Schindler's List takes place around what I believe is like one of the most evil events in history, the Holocaust. There's lots of Holocaust movies out there that I'd recommend, like The Pianist or The Diary of Anne Frank. But I believe from watching Schindler's List that that movie just really goes like in depth, like what goes on in the Holocaust era, from in the ghetto to an actual concentration camp to life of the prisoners to profiling one of the camp guards there, and also what the whole movie profiles about is this man, Oskar Schindler. Now, Oskar Schindler is a very interesting character because he's a Nazi. And the Nazis murdered over 6 million Jews all over Europe. And what was interesting about Oskar is that he did what was right instead of what was easy. When when you're a Nazi, you have to, I believe some of them have to follow orders because if they don't follow orders, then they can get killed. But Oscar sees firsthand what happens to the Jews, especially when they're in this one scene. Which this scene is actually quite interesting because the whole movie is shot in black and white, and this is one of the few times when there's color in the whole movie. When they do the evacuation of the ghetto, and you see this little girl, the girl in red. I believe she must be um, kind of lost. I mean, she's a child, so she obviously doesn't understand what's going on around her. And Oscar's watching this little girl with, I would assume, his girlfriend on top of this hill. And the girl sneaks into this building and she hides from the Nazis. And we find out later that, unfortunately, the little girl died at the hands of the Nazis. And that really started Oscar wanting to save the Jews. Actually, his accountant was Jewish, and he was one of the first people that he saved because his accountant was on the cattle, cattle car train to Treblinka, and he went to the train station and he saved him. And what also was a very interesting fact that I learned is I read this book called The Boy on the Wooden Box, and it's about this boy who was saved by Oskar Schindler because he was on Schindler's List. Well, his brother was on the same train as Schindler's accountant, and Oskar Schindler offered to save him because he knew his family and knew him, and he wanted to stay with his girlfriend. And unfortunately, everybody on that train perished in Treblinka. But Oscar had a lot of the Jews in this concentration camp working in his factory making parts. I mean, Oscar was very rich, so he sold some of his things to in order to bribe the Nazis to keep these workers in his factory. And throughout the movie, then he actually creates this list in order to save people. And while him and his accountant are making the list, he's like, "How many do we have? 500. No, we need more. We need more." And it just showed how much Oscar really wanted to save these people. He actually did care about his workers. For the awful conditions they were in, he treated them very well. And I believe one of the scenes also, that one of the workers also baked Oscar a cake on their birthday. And he actually, I remember, if I remember correctly, he actually saved the women's transport was supposed to go to Oscar's new factory, and it ended up going to Auschwitz instead. And you know, Auschwitz is like the big, it's like the worst camp of them all. I mean, they're all very bad, but Auschwitz is like is just mega bad. And sorry, Oscar saved the women from being perished because they would have probably most likely died in Auschwitz. And what's probably my favorite scene out of the whole movie is toward the end of the movie when the the war is winding down and Oscar, because he was a Nazi, is at risk of getting captured, and he's in this factory, and I believe the Nazi officers are right here and the workers are right here, and he tells them, do you want to, he tells the officers, if you want to go with dignity, go home to your families instead of killing all the workers. So and all the officers then went home to their families, and right when Oscar is about to leave, all the workers sign this paper that says that they treated him well. I mean, he treated them well, and they make him this ring that's that it says this thing in Hebrew, and what it means is he who saves one life saves the world entire. And I just love that. I just love that. I mean, that could apply to any almost a lot of things today, and I just thought it was a really powerful scene. And what always makes me cry is when Oscar looks at the ring and he accidentally drops it, and he cries to his accountant saying, "I could have gotten more. I could have gotten more." And his accountant reassures him, "There are 1,100 of us here today. Look at them." And he says, I think he looks at his pin and says, "This would have gotten two more. This would have gotten at least one more. I could have gotten one more and I didn't." And he breaks down because he felt so bad. He wanted to save more Jews, and he did what he was able to do around that time to save the Jews, but he just feels so guilty and so remorseful. And then you see the movie go toward years later, and the Schindler Jews place these stones on Oscar Schindler's grave, and I just think that Schindler's List I would definitely recommend if you want to learn more about the Holocaust or you want to know more about Oscar Schindler. I really think that Schindler's List is best movies about the hol- one of the best movies about the Holocaust that teaches you about it. I mean, what I find interesting about the Holocaust is that I don't think it's taught enough in schools. I mean, I remember just getting a little pamphlet on it. So, like I said, if you want to learn more about the Holocaust, I would definitely recommend Schindler's List to your collection. I believe you can get Schindler's List at most movie retailers. I hope you enjoyed this little video review of Schindler's List. Until next time, stay regal.